this video, we're going to look at the product rule for taking derivatives. Now, the product rule is something that you use when you want to take the derivative of something that's written like two functions multiplied together, if that makes sense. The better way to say it is you use the product rule when you're taking the derivative of a product of two or more functions. What does that mean? Well, again, there's going to be words. There's going to be a formula for this, but there's an easy way to remember it. If you remember the words, then you don't have to write stuff down when you do it. It becomes so much quicker and easier. So please remember the words. Like you should, I don't know, pause it after I write down this next part. Pause it and memorize the words, not just the formula, because it's so much easier if you just remember the words. All right, so this is the way that I think about it. If you have a product of two functions and you're taking the derivative, then it's first d second plus second d first. Those are the words that I remember. And this is what you have. You have the first exactly the way it is. You write down that function exactly how it is first. Then you take the derivative of the second and multiply those two. So first d second plus, and then you take the second function exactly how it is, and you multiply it by the derivative of the first function. So it's first d second plus second d first. You should pause it right now and say that over and over, maybe like 10 times, maybe even out loud. Say it over, or maybe write it down 10 times or something. It's very important to remember those. It makes things a lot quicker if you remember that. All right, so here we go. H of x, suppose h of x equals the square root of x times the natural log of x. Find h prime of x. So we're going to use the product rule here because we have a product. We have a product. Those are two functions multiplied together. The first function is the square root of x. The second function is the natural log of x. All right, so I already have my words memorized. Maybe you should try this. Pause it and try it on your own. First d second plus second d first. All right, hopefully you paused it. H prime of x then is, let's see, h prime of x. I don't have to write down any formula. I just take the first, the way it is, first. D second, the derivative of the natural log is 1 over x. First d second plus second, well that's just the natural log of x. D first, so that would be 1 over 2 square root of x, right? Because that's the derivative of each of those. Okay, now I will simplify. Technically this is done, but I'm going to simplify. I have the square root of x divided by x plus the natural log of x over 2 root x. Perhaps this is... Now you could leave it like this. You could simplify it more. I'm just going to show you a couple ways that you could simplify this. Here, this is the same thing. Actually, if I rationalize that second one, I just noticed that you might get a common denominator if you rationalize the second one. So I'm going to do that. I'll multiply by square root of 2. You don't have to do this, but some of the answers on Khan Academy might have them simplified, so it's good to look at that. So we have the natural log of x, I'm going to say, times the square root of x. I'll put this in front, because it's multiplication. It just looks a little bit better there. And then 2, and then square root of x times the square root of x is x. And I guess to get a common denominator, I have to multiply this one by 2. So your answers might be written like this. 2 times the square root of x plus the square root of x ln of x, all divided by 2x, or something like that. Yeah, that's it. Find the derivative. That's how you do that. First d second plus second d first. Know that in your hearts, in your minds, in your body, in your soul, in your okay. All right. The only reason, I mean, there's not very much else to this. There's really, that's it. You just have to recognize when you have a product of functions, and which is first and second. But that I think is relatively easy to do. But the only thing left is a little bit of notation. So what do we have here? We have f times g, and then we take the derivative and plug in a 2. So that's the same thing as saying d dx of f of x times g of x. When x equals 2. So that's the same thing. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say for that one, but I'll finish it. We have a product of two functions, so we'll do first d second plus second d first. First is 3x squared plus 11x. First d second, the derivative of the second, we don't know, so that would be just g prime of x, right? We don't know the formula for g, so we just have to write down g prime of x. First d second plus second g of x. D first, the derivative of the first function, well, that's this, so what would that be? Times, you have to put parentheses around it, times 6x plus 11. First d second plus second d first. Now I plug in x equals 2. So what would that be? That would be 2 squared is 4, 4 times 3 is 12, plus 22, right? 2 times 11. G prime of 2, if I'm plugging in the 2 there, in there, and there. Plug in the 2, it looks like I'm squaring stuff, so I'm just going to say that. Alright, just plug in a 2. G prime of 2, well, that's 3. We're told that that's 3. So we'll say times 3. Plus G of 2, I'm plugging in. G of 2 is negative 1. So that's negative 1 times, plug in 2 here. 6 times 2 is 12 plus 11. And then I'll simplify. What is that? 34 times 3. This is just arithmetic. And so that equals 79. Just 2 examples for this one. It's the product rule. Should be simple, I hope. I hope. Please ask questions. Yeah. Anything else I feel like we've seen before. But that's pretty much it. I stop now, huh?